The COMELEC First Division dismisses the disqualification case filed against Bongbong Marcos. But the petitioners say they're willing to bring the case up to the Supreme Court if needed. Vice presidential candidate Walden Bello slams the decision of the COMELEC division, while the camp of VP Leni Robredo says they're determined to beat Marcos Jr. in the elections. Senator Win Gatchalian and former Quezon City Mayor Herbert Bautista have been dropped from Senator Ping Lacson's senatorial lineup. And most presidential and vice presidential candidates made rounds in Tagalog-speaking areas on day 3 of the campaigns. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Charles Lejano. The Commission on Elections First Division has spoken. Bongbong Marcos may still run for president in the May elections. But the petitioners say they will raise the case up to the Supreme Court if needed. Greg Gregorio has the rest of the story.
Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. is still qualified to run for president. This is the verdict of the First Division of the Commission on Elections on the 3 petitions to disqualify Marcos Jr. from the 2022 presidential race. In a tweet Thursday night, COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez said that the division dismissed the consolidated petitions of the Akbayan Citizens Action Party, Abubakar Mangelen, and Karma, or campaign against the return of the Marcoses and martial law headed by Bonifacio Ilagan due to lack of merit. The group intended to disqualify Marcos Jr. from running for his failure to file his income tax returns from 1982 until 1985. They say this is a crime of moral turpitude. The group added that this makes him perpetually disqualified because of his conviction with the 18-month penalty.
Napakalinaw nung sinasabi ng batas at yung batas na yun mismo, incidentally, ay tatay din ni Bongbong Marcos ang pumirma. Diba? Sa batas na ito, sinasabi that anyone convicted of tax evasion, kasama sa kanyang penalties ay yung perpetual disqualification from seeking public office. Medyo mahirap paniwalaan yung sinasabi nila Bongbong Marcos na hindi nila to alam, hindi sila aware dito.
But the COMELEC First Division says the accessory penalty of perpetual disqualification is not stated in the decision of the Court of Appeals. They add that the CA's decision also did not state the said 18-month penalty of imprisonment. The First Division is also not convinced that Marcos's non-filing of ITR is a crime of moral turpitude. Commissioners Aimee Ferolino and Marlon Casquejo comprise the COMELEC First Division. Both were appointed by President Duterte. Former Commissioner Rowena Guanzon was also in the division before her retirement last February 2. Guanzon made her vote against Marcos public and called out Ferolino for allegedly delaying the decision. But now that she's retired, her opinion doesn't count anymore, according to former Supreme Court Justice Antonio Carpio.
Because Commissioner Guanzon retired already before there was a voting, then that draft opinion of hers will no longer be counted because the decision will now be resolved by a new members of the First Division.
The petitioners say they are willing to bring this up to the Supreme Court should the odds won't be in their favor again.
Sabi natin sa Akbayan, kahit na hindi masyadong favorable sa atin ang desisyong ito ng First Division, the outcome doesn't dishearten us. This is merely a bend in the road. This is not the end of it. This is just the beginning of our struggle to protect our electoral democracy from fraud and impunity.
Meanwhile, Marcos Jr. is happy about the decision of the COMELEC division.
Yes, well, that's of course that is a good result for us, and now maybe we can carry on with the campaign without all of these distractions that were put in the way.
For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
The petitioners in one of the disqualification cases against Marcos Jr. says that they will appeal the case's dismissal. In a statement, lawyer Howie Calleja says they want to exhaust all legal remedies that they can avail of. He added that while the decision of the COMELEC First Division did not come as a surprise, their dismissal of the case casts doubt upon the poll body. Vice President Leni Robredo's camp reiterates that they never considered the disqualification cases against Senator Bongbong Marcos. In a statement, Robredo spokesman Barry Gutierrez explained that from the time VP Leni announced her candidacy, she always intended to achieve victory in the elections. Meanwhile, Vice Presidential candidate Walden Bello appeals to the Supreme Court to affirm, quote, what is clear in the law, that Marcos Jr. has been convicted of tax evasion and is no longer qualified to run for public office. Bello adds that the SC must now show that it's not in Marcos's pocket. On the other hand, Acción Democrático Chairman Ernest Ramel pointed out that the public continues to await the real plans of Marcos Jr. for the Filipinos, aside from motherhood statements that he delivered during his proclamation rally. One election lawyer says the petitioners in the dismissed disqualification case against Marcos Jr. can still appeal to the COMELEC en banc. Speaking to News 5, election lawyer Buko de la Cruz says that the petitioners will have limited time to appeal the case. And should they fail to appeal, COMELEC's First Division's ruling will become final, thus enabling Marcos Jr. to run in the May elections. But should the petitioners appeal and still get an unfavorable result, De La Cruz says they can raise the case to the Supreme Court.
Kailangan iakyat yan sa COMELEC en banc. Otherwise, magiging final na yung desisyon ng First Division. No? So, ibig sabihin, tuloy po ang takbo ni Senator Bongbong Marcos. As of now, he is deemed qualified by the COMELEC to run for the highest post in the land.
Senator Win Gatchalian and senatorial candidate Herbert Bautista have been kicked out of the Lacson Soto senatorial lineup. Mean Los Baños tells us why.
Ako po ay nagpapasalamat sa unity, sa pangunguna po ng ating Pangulo, Pangulong Ferdinand BBM Marcos at ang ating Vice Presidente Inday Sara Duterte. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagtanggap po sa akin.
After making this statement, perceived to be an endorsement of Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Sara Duterte as the next heads of state, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian has just been taken out of the senatorial ticket of Senators Ping Lacson and Tito Soto.
That says it all. I'm sorry it has to end this way, na maghihiwalay kami. Especially, I'm just sorry that Senate President Soto is not here because it's not on me. It's more on Senate President Soto, being the chairman of the NPC.
Their Senate slate had several members of the Nationalist People's Coalition, including Senator Gatchalian and another guest candidate, Senator Mig Subiri. Soto says the two were allowed to join the Uniteam rally as long as they will not make any endorsements. But Soto laments how only Subiri held up his part of the bargain.
What will you do with someone who does not follow a gentleman's agreement? Nabubunutan kami ng tinik. Dahil 15 yung gusto namin i-endorse. Di ngayon, 13 na lang.
Soto is referring to the other NPC member who was taken out of their Senate slate, former Quezon City Mayor Herbert Bautista. On Tuesday, Lacson said that Bautista asked to be the NPC's representative to the Uniteam.
We don't care if you don't endorse us, but please don't endorse other tandems.
The two in separate statements said they respect the Lacson-Soto tandem's decision. Bautista even said that their decision will afford him the opportunity to openly campaign for the Uniteam. The two are even part of the Uniteam sortie in Valenzuela, Gatchalian's bailiwick. This will be their first appearance post-removal from the slate of Lacson. Unlike the two, Senator Richard Gordon remains in the roster even after appearing in the Leni Kiko proclamation rally. Reporting for News 5, Mean Los Baños, we are One News.
All major presidential candidates came together for the COMELEC virtual rally, where they were each given 10 minutes to play their recorded campaign materials. Vice President Leni Robredo's video focused on the OVP's COVID-19 response efforts. And Robredo tells Filipinos that she is willing to give her all to continue her fight for the presidency. Senator Ping Lacson, meanwhile, highlighted his stance against corruption and his public service initiatives. And former Senator Bongbong Marcos, meanwhile, recalled his accomplishments during the pandemic, as well as his helping of the victims of calamities like the Taal volcano eruption, as well as typhoons. Mayor Isko Moreno's video featured Senator Ralph Recto, who discussed the aspirant's accomplishments and vouched for his determination to, quote, make the impossible possible. Vice presidential candidates, including Walden Bello and Senator Kiko Pangilinan, also took part in the virtual event. Let's have a recap of day 3 of the national campaign. Presidential candidate and Vice President Leni Robredo was in Lipa City, where she was welcomed by Mayor Eric Africa, other local officials and employees. Robredo was joined by running mate Kiko Pangilinan and senatorial candidate Chel Diokno, and the presidential candidate also held a meet and greet with her supporters in the city. Former Senator Bongbong Marcos held a campaign rally in Valenzuela and present at the event were some members of his senatorial slate, including former DPWH Secretary Mark Villar and former Palace spokesperson Harry Roque. Marcos's running mate Sara Duterte, on the other hand, visited the cancer patient and a supporter in Bulacan. 70-year-old cancer patient Deli Borja wanted to see the vice presidential candidate during the Uniteam rally, but was not able to go because of her condition. Afterwards, Duterte went to Mekawayan to meet with local officials and to attend a campaign sortie. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno and his Acción Democrático team wooed residents in Laguna on Thursday, and Moreno was joined by his running mate Willie Ong, as well as senatorial bets Samira Gutok, Jopet Sison, and Carl Balita. They also met with some local officials and held a motorcade in different areas of the province. And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us later at 9 a.m. as we monitor the day's biggest stories from sunrise to sundown. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We're One News.